My brothers and sisters in Christ, today's first reading from the letter to the Romans speaks of important themes of both fear and suffering. We're told by Paul that we have received a spirit of adoption, not a spirit of slavery, to fall back into fear, the fear of our former life, and that instead we are children of God, heirs of God. And this is important because even though Paul, and of course all of the New Testament and Jesus himself most intently talk about suffering as part of our Christian life, we speak of a suffering that is opposed to fear. Often we think of suffering as something to fear or something to be avoided at all cost. But the difference is we are called to suffer with patient endurance, with fortitude, but not with fear. The difference is fear can lead to despair. In the face of suffering, when we're afraid of what can it do for us, we're turning our gaze away from the protective arms of our Father. Held as his children, as his beloved, we are constantly in his protection from anything that can harm us. And yet, when we give in to the spirit of fear, we can despair. And in this, we turn to the things of the flesh and to death. But instead, when we see suffering as a way to be more intimately close to the Lord, then that is something that we can endure. We can grow in fortitude. And even as we suffer in the flesh and mind and spirit, we find the intimate closeness of the love of God, which is never far from us. But often it feels far because our gaze is elsewhere, when we fall to despair, when we fall into fear. Because this is an illusion of the enemy. Rooted securely in God, we're anchored and have nothing to fear. Yes. Can our flesh know pain? Yes. Will we know suffering? Yes. But so did Jesus. And he has promised life to those who cling closely to him and his cross. And so, as our suffering becomes an opportunity to move closer to God, to embrace him and therefore be embraced by him, then it becomes life-giving. But if suffering becomes the opportunity for us to fall into fear and despair, then we jump out of his arms into the black pit of where there is nothing but despair. The complete loss of hope. And so, may we look at the sufferings present in our own life and see, how do I react? How do I respond to suffering when it comes? Is it woe is me? Or is it the opportunity to admit, yes, this is suffering? No one particularly enjoys suffering. But in my suffering, is it an opportunity to cling closer to Christ, to be intimately close to him and his cross, and to offer that suffering for him, with him, and for one another? May God bless you.